The Italians did get a home champion because Jasmine Paolini won the event, becoming the first Italian woman to win the Italian Open since 1985 when Raffaella Reggi did it. And that was actually not at the location that the tournament's at now. That was in Taranto where they used to hold the Italian Open. So yeah, fantastic scenes for Italian women's tennis. Paolini kind of back to winning ways, winning another Masters title following the Dubai title of last year and dispatching Coco Gauff 6-4, 6-2 in the final. Really pleased for her. You know, she is such a joyous player and it's nice to see her kind of peaking at this time of the year again. Chris, how impressed were you with Jasmine Paolini throughout the week? Not a champion that any of us predicted, I think, but obviously we know she can do it. She's done it before. And here she is winning her third singles title.
Well, not only her third singles title, she also defended her doubles title with Sara Irani. So a lot of Italian success coming from Paolini, which is, I mean, it just shows she's a real player of class, winning the singles and the doubles and doing it at home with all that pressure. And she was at times in some precarious positions. It wasn't all plain sailing for her this week. She had some really tough encounters. So it does seem like she's played her way into form. And I think we probably do underrate her as a clay courter because obviously she made the final in Paris, but we hadn't necessarily thought that much about her on this surface. The same with grass. It kind of just switched into action and she suddenly showed her pedigree. But against Schneider, she was very much potentially going out. So she did well to turn that one around. And then against Coco, yeah, far superior. I think Coco's been a bit unlucky in some of those moments because she doesn't tend to play her best tennis in the finals. I think that's her frustration with her last couple of results. But the double faults did creep in. The first serve wasn't at the races for Coco. So I think that's a case when the serve needs to be on for her to put in her best performance. And it wasn't the same sort of performance that she delivered when she took out Iga Swiatek. So I think for Paolini, it's got to be very positive because she's got a lot of points to defend coming up. And it just
She
makes...
contender?
Well, I keep saying it. How can she not be? I mean, she's made Grand Slam finals. If you ask me about Casper, I'd say the same thing. Both of them won Masters titles coming into the French. I do think probably you need a little bit of help along the way. I think the draws are there to be broken, and she would quite like the draw to be broken. And if she were to draw, you know, Iga Swiatek in the quarterfinals, I think that would be a tough ask. I think there are players who could beat her, but she showed on her day she can beat anybody.
Yeah, and you know, Paolini against Gauff, like before the start of this season, she'd never beaten Coco Gauff, but now she's managed to kind of switch that head to head around a little bit and equal it up, beating Coco twice on clay over the previous months, first time indoors and now here in Rome. But Coco Gauff, yeah, she's just not quite getting the job done in her clay finals. She's had two finals, two losses, both on clay. She's been in across singles and doubles, 5 Masters 1000 finals on the clay, hasn't won any of them. Yet, if you look at the same stat for sort of hard court, she's never lost one. So it's, yeah, this real kind of disconnect with her and clay. And we thought she was sort of mastering it a bit more. But where do you think she needs to go next to kind of get that next step up?
Well, it's a lot of time, isn't it, Joel? A lot of time on the ball. And if you are a bit nervous, I do think it gets harder to put the ball away. You've really got to go for your shots. I think the unforced error count, Joel, I did send you something about that this week.
I'm actually looking at some of the Coco Gauff stats in the match. 55 unforced errors in total in that defeat to Paolini and 7 double faults. It doesn't seem like obviously good reading. And as much as obviously Paolini played a really good match, although I will say that she still committed more unforced errors than winners. But for Coco Gauff, not quite clicking in the final, which I'm still a little bit lost for words with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, the unforced error count too high, and she's getting to finals though, isn't she? That's a positive, but will she going into Roland-Garros be able to get that, get over the line if she finds herself in another final? I guess it all very much depends on the opponent, but she's had some like solid wins, hasn't she? But just not able to get the job done, and she really just needs that performance against Swiatek back in Madrid to be repeated, I suppose.
It's quality opponents, isn't it? I mean, it's not a case that on clay she's losing to players who aren't seasoned top 5 players. I mean, it's Sabalenka and it's Paolini in the last couple of tournaments. So I mean, it's not a bad result at all, and she has had, a few losses earlier this year, so nothing to worry about. I'm sure maybe she does know that stat. Maybe she will know it now, but I think surely she can get one of those results on clay because she is such a fantastic mover. So if she's able to turn it up a gear, I'm sure she's going to bring it in Paris.
Yes, and Joel, I think. Did you enjoy Peyton Stearns getting to the semi-final?
Like
I know you're quite a fan of.
Didn't she have red foo in her box earlier or last year?
Yeah, that was a very, very good result. Very good win against Svitolina because Svitolina, in my predictions, I did have her, I think, as champion.
She should have won.
It was very close. I know, final set tie break, but
close.
Peyton Stearns going on a very good run. That good win as well against Osaka.
Madison Keys.
Yeah. Decent player.
Yeah, a bit of a mini breakout for Peyton Stearns. But I mean, many of our listeners may be wondering, where was Aryna Sabalenka, world number one? She lost in the quarterfinals to Qinwen Zheng. And this was notable because it was Zheng's first victory over Sabalenka. She'd faced her 6 times previously and never won. And this was their first match outside of it being on a hard court. And Zheng was able to finally notch a win under her belt against Sabalenka, 6-4, 6-3. Chris, going into the French, will Sabalenka be a bit thrown off by this result, do you think? Not what she would have wanted, but perhaps, maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise. I don't know, maybe it, shows she can't rest on her laurels, gives her that extra bit of time off perhaps to prepare for Roland-Garros. What do you think?
Well, she's already in Paris, so I'm sure she's put this result behind her, but a good result for Qinwen Zheng, who hasn't necessarily had the best form. Remember, she did win in Paris at the Olympics last year on the clay, so she's a great clay courter,
Olympic champion.
She hasn't necessarily.
You think she's underrated?
I think her game is underrated, but her performances, I think, maybe think that she is a bit overrated because she hasn't necessarily pushed on since that final in Australia necessarily, where you thought that she would have, because she has got such a big game, such a big serve. She hits so big off both wings. And it is surprising that she's kind of really not able to get a win against Sabalenka on hard courts, but clay court worked so well for her. Her first title was on clay, and so clearly it's a surface that she really enjoys. So I'm going to put it out there. I think this is probably the most open French Open we've had. I think if I was looking to give a prediction, you probably would go with Sabalenka, but I mean, I can see probably any of about 10 players potentially coming away with it, and you still might have some outsiders.
Being runner-up at the end.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We do not know what will happen, but I mean, we've got young talent coming up. We've got Coco Gauff coming back into form. Will Iga do it? I think if I was going to say now, I mean, I would say I'd go with the form book, but do you have anyone else you want to add to the can Qinwen win it?
Oh, I was more open than Eurovision this year, hey?
The jury votes are in. What are they?
I don't know. I've got a feeling about Andreeva. I know she's not done amazing actually over the clay, but she did well getting to the semi-finals. Yeah. Was that last year? Yes. And so it could come from anywhere. And we've seen so many times before, like first-time finalists at the French, first-time semi-finalists.
Okay, so we're going rogue finalist and then
Are you building the Shramkova argument here, Kim?
I mean, Katie Boulter's just won a WTA 125 on clay.
She has.
So I'm not saying she's gonna suddenly
Katie Boulter, she said for herself, she did.
But you never know. It's one of those quite open slams, and that's the fun of it. I think this is where we're here for it, aren't we?
We are. But Joel, come on, who are we here for?
I think
Svitolina.
I still think Svitolina's a bit of a dark horse. Yeah. I do think Osaka is slowly getting there, and if she kind of continues what she showed in Rome, I think also that she could be an interesting one to look out for. I think the draw is going to be quite important, particularly this time around, because of it feeling like a finalist could come from anywhere. It could all come down to the sort of draw a player is presented, I think.
Well, Chris will be there with a cocktail in hand to soak the draw up later.
And I'll be texting you, being like, I can't believe it's Raducanu versus Sabalenka round one.
Oh, Collins Swiatek round one. Come on, we all want it to happen.
I'd drop the cocktail. I'd have to get straight to the Twitter.